The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are on listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule and joining the training session for today. I welcome everyone for the Desktop Central training. So first and foremost, I'd like to get a quick confirmation from your end. Are you able to hear my voice and view the presentation? Please confirm me by commenting on chat. I'll just wait for a couple of guys to say as yes. All right, we got the confirmation. So first thing I'd like to talk here is on the training schedule. So as you know, this is a 7 weeks training program where today is the 4th week where I'm going to talk on the remote control module, what are the different features offered. And this has to be on 2 different schedules. So one is the morning 6:30 a.m. GMT, which is already completed. And next is 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is going right now. And rest of the topics will be covered as per the date and time shown on your screen. So we'll be recording all this training session and we'll be publishing in our website. So you can go to desktopcentral.com/training.html to view the recording files later on. We're also going to share all the recorded files later on via email to you for all the registered attendees. All right, let me introduce myself. So my name is Jay Kishan Poda, Senior Technical Consultant, and I'm associated with Zoho Corporation from last 10 years. And I'll be the trainer where I'm going to explain and talk about the remote control features and capabilities by Desktop Central. So let's have a quick look on the agenda for today. So first of all, the overview. What is remote control? How does it really work in the back end? And then I've taken few scenarios or situations which will help me in explaining the different features and options available under remote control, like resolving the help desk ticket where the end user has requested to install Adobe app as well as troubleshooting on Wi-Fi connectivity. Then how to troubleshoot the system slowness issue using the tools, and how to enforce or implement different IT policies on the desktops and the network. And on the events like the Exchange server is down, how to notify the users about it then and there, and the different scenarios and solutions which we came across based on our experience. We'll be talking on that, and at last followed by the questions. So any point of time if you have any questions or doubts, feel free to put in the chat section. I have an expert panel sitting next to me who will be answering your questions then and there. We are going to also collect the questions. I will try to share it towards the end of my presentation. All right, so as of now, you can take remote access of a machine running on any Windows OS as well as Apple Mac machines. So I'm going to talk on the Desktop Central architecture. So the few of you might be new to the product. So I want to explain on the back end how does it really works as far as the entire Desktop Central application is concerned. So as you can see in your screen, you'll have your Desktop Central server installed in your head office, and you have a clients managed locally. So once you install agents on them, they'll be communicating to local server and check for any task and execute on client machines. If you have any branch offices, then we recommend to install distribution servers in that branch offices, which will help you in the bandwidth control as well as remote WAN agent deployment. So once you have a distribution server, they will be replicating to the main central server and downloading the patches and software to the local DS machine and distribute the remote office clients out there. You can even manage mobile users. That means the guys who travel or work from home. You can even manage them via NATing on your firewall. So that is network address translation. You have to open certain ports on your firewall. So technically you can manage local office machines, branch office, as well as roaming users via Desktop Central application. So that's all about the architecture. The next is the different set of ports used by Desktop Central application. So we support all different type of ports, that is on different protocols, HTTP, HTTPS, as well as TCP. So the product contains different set of components which will be using different set of ports. So for Desktop Central Server, we'll be having the port 8020. Notification server will be running on 8027, which is a TCP port. Remote control specifically will be running on 8443. And if you're going to use file transfer, it will be using 8031. And the distribution server will be running on 8021. To know more on the ports, you can just go to desktopcentral.com/ports for more details. Next thing I'd like to talk here is the 90-minute refresh policy. So what is this 90 minutes policy? So let's assume that first and foremost, this is the agent server communication time interval where in every 90 minutes our agent checks for the server for any task available for deployment. So let's imagine you're managing maybe around 900 computers in your network, and all of them communicating to the server at the same time, which definitely might choke up your network bandwidth as well as impact your server CPU performance. So as an admin, which you do not really want to happen. So to handle the scenario, the Desktop Central Server has this intelligence or the feature called 90 minutes policy, in which the server ensures that it is distributing the communication in a balanced manner. So within first minute, only the 10 computers will communicate and take the job and execute on the client machines. Followed by the next minute, the next set of 10 machines will talk to the server and take the job and execute on the client machines. So on, within 90 minutes, all the 900 computers will communicate to the main Desktop Central Server and take the task and execute on the client machines. So that's why the server ensures the task has been distributed in a streamlined, balanced manner. And in return, that also ensures that it is not impacting your network bandwidth as well as server CPU performance. The next is how remote control works. So how does it really work on the back end? What happens there? So once the technician logins to Desktop Central, when he goes to Tools, as soon as he clicks on Connect, any machine which you like to take a remote control, once you click on Connect, let's say the technician 1 clicks on Connect, what happens? It sends the communication, it's trying to establish the communication to the main Desktop Central Server, where we have two different components running. Where first is the notification server component will be running on 8027, which will be listening to the traffic or the request, and it will be forwarding to the target client machine, where you'll have a DC agent running already. So the agent listens to the request and it initiates the remote control service on the client, which captures the images and sends back the request to the main server, where the gateway listens to the request and it forwards back to the technician 1, where the technician 1 can see the end user machine on his screen. That's how the communication is established. Now there's another scenario where, let's say, we also support multi-technician view. So if the technician 2 joins the same session, so as soon as the technician 2 clicks on the connect, it sends a request to the main server, and the gateway listens to the request, and it already has the intelligence that this session is alive, so it just sends the same request packet back to the technician 2. So technician 2 can also see the target machine screen on his machine. That's how the connection gets established in the back end. All right. Now to explain the remote control functionality, so I've taken my first scenario where the situation is to resolve the help desk ticket. So here in this case, we have end user called Bob who sends a request to his IT help desk, and the IT help desk, the ticket gets assigned to a technician called John. That's our service desk plus help desk. And the technician John logs into service desk and he opens the ticket and he finds that there are two different tasks which he needs to perform to help resolve this ticket. So the task is first to install the Adobe Acrobat application, and second is to troubleshoot the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. So these are two different tasks which you need to perform. So now how he can leverage Desktop Central to perform this task. So to show that, I will take you to the product live in my network. So I have a setup running. So for better understanding, I'm going to log in to this product as a technician John. So this is setup running. And I'm going to show how to take remote access of the machine. So first and foremost, this is how the product looks like. If some of you guys are new to the product, so you'll have all the features and modules shown in top of your console. And we assume that we have already added the computers and you've installed the agents already on the machine. So you go to Tools, first and foremost Task, and you have Remote Control as a first option. So here, since the technician has to work on the ticket which is raised by end user called Bob, so I'm going to first search which machine the Bob has logged in right now. So click on Search option right hand side. Under username section, I'll just click on as Bob. So I can see Bob has logged into a machine called DCOSTW10. Now, I can see there are two different users logged in on the same machine. Now, I need to ensure that I'm connecting only to the Bob session. So for that, you can see next to the connect, there's three dots. We just click on it, you can see how many logins are there on that machine. So I'm going to go only for Bob. So before connecting to the Bob session, I want to talk about a few other options. So first and foremost thing, you can see, you can decide which specific viewer which you want to use for remote connecting. So our recommendation is to always use HTML5 viewer, which is much more advanced and feature rich. Same way, there's also an option called prompt the user for confirmation. So if you check this box and click on connect, it will prompt for the permission. So it will, the end user has to grant the access. Only then the technician take control. So that is something based on your organization and your policies. You can decide whether you want to enable this option or not. So for now, I'm just going to go for without prompt. So I'm clicking on the option and going for Bob session. And as soon as you click on that, you'll see there's a pop-up which is asking the reason why he wants to establish the connection. So as in some organization or sectors like or industries like healthcare or education sectors, there is always a policy or recommendation for the auditing purpose to always mention or make a note of every remote session established by technicians. So for better tracking, we request to end users or technicians to enter the reason. So in this case, my requirement is to work on these two different tasks which is assigned by the end user Bob, like installing of Adobe app and troubleshooting of Wi-Fi connectivity. So I'll just enter that and I'll click on connect. So you will see in just a few seconds I've successfully connected to the end user machine, Bob. So for better understanding, I'm just in left hand side, if you see there's option to go for full screen. You can do that. So I can see I have full control. So now my requirement was to establish or install the Adobe app. So as this is a commercial application, I'll be having the Adobe application store in my network share, the company network share, which is somewhere saved confidentially. So I'll go on the folder icon. I'll try to access the network share. So I've clicked on the folder icon, but somehow I'm not able to view the pop-up. Why is that? The reason maybe the end user might be running dual monitor. So I need to somehow switch the screen. Is it possible? Yes, we do have option of doing a switch monitor. Left hand side in the toolbar, you have a switch monitor, but I can go to screen 2, and here it is the pop-up. So now I can very well go to the network share and access. Now, before connecting to the network share, since this is a a confidential place where I'm placing all my commercial apps, so somehow I'm not very comfortable to expose the network share information to the end user. I want to somehow hide that. Is it possible? Yes, what you can do, we can black out the screen so end user cannot see what you are doing. So now before blacking out, we do have feature of blacking out in the system toolbar left hand side. If you go to the actions, you very well go ahead and do the blackout of the monitor. But before blacking out, I want to inform the end user that we are going to black out the screen so that he should not, otherwise he's going to freak out what's going on there. So to inform the end user, I can also make use of a inbuilt chat functionality. That is the left hand side. So what I'm going to do, I already have, so I'm just have a text ready where I'm just informing the end user that they're going to take control of his machine. So I just came back to the first screen. And this is the chat box. So what I mentioned is we're just going to black out your screen. Is it okay with him? I'm just going to get a permission from his end. All right, so we got the permission. So now we can very well go ahead. So first and foremost, I will close the chat section. And I can go back to the actions. I can black out the monitor. So now end user cannot see what you're doing. Okay, now I can go back to switch to monitor 2. I'm going to access the network share. So while working on this machine, so all I'm showing you is a live demonstration, how we are using multiple features within Desktop Central. So now I'm going to access the network share. Since I don't remember the IPs, I just store it here. So while accessing and while working on this, somehow I noticed I'm having trouble, in controlling the mouse. The reason might be since the screen is black out, I believe the end user is still trying to take control of his machine. So is it possible somehow to disable the keyboard and mouse? Yes, we can do that. Again, you can go to actions and your options. So as soon as you black out the screen, the mouse and keyboard also will be disabled. All right, so now I've accessed my network share and I can go to the Adobe folder. So, and I can see the exe package out here. And since this is a commercial application, I've executed the file, but during the installation I found since it's a commercial app, it is asking for a license key. So as you know, so you'll have a license key, but that is somehow saved in my local machine. So I want to quickly somehow transfer the file to the client machine. Is it possible being live in the session? Yes, you can do that. So again, for that we have a feature called file transfer. Left hand side is just click on file transfer. And I can go to my desktop where I already have the Adobe license file. And I'm going to transfer to Bob's desktop. So this is XML file. And I'm transferring the file live on the session. All right, you can see it successfully copied. So now I can close the file transfer. I can switch to monitor 1 to confirm. There we go. So this is a file which is successfully copied. All right, so let's assume that file has been transferred successfully and I was able to install the Adobe package within few minutes. That was my first requirement. All right, so we're done with the Adobe package installation. Now the next request from the end user was to troubleshoot on the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. So for that, again, with my limited knowledge on networking, so I tried to, let's say, troubleshoot, the issue on Wi-Fi connectivity. And I have some options which you can use in the left-hand side. You have a shortcuts to access the command prompt as well as the device manager. So let's assume that I have done some basic troubleshooting, but somehow I was not able to fix the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. Now I need a next level of help. So I have a colleague, a senior colleague called Peter, who is more expertise on networking related issues, and I would somehow like him to come online and help me in fixing the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. So can Peter join the same session? Yes, he can. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a call to Peter, and I'll request him to join on the same existing session. So I'm just going to switch browser. So I'm going to show you live. I have another setup running. So this is another setup. So let's assume that Peter is logging from his machine with his credentials in Desktop Central, and he's going to connect to the same existing live session. So I'm going to Tools, Remote Control, and you can sort it out by agent live status up. So you can know, and you can see this is the live session running. So all Peter has to do is just click on View Desktop and click on Yes. That's it. As soon as you click on Yes, he is able to successfully connect to the same existing session. So by default, it will be only view only mode. If he wants to take control, he has to go to the Actions and click on Active Mode. That's it. So now Peter has a full control of Bob's machine. And now let's give some few minutes for Peter to troubleshoot and resolve the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. So let's assume that Peter, with his all expertise, within few minutes he was able to find the issue and he was able to resolve the Wi-Fi connectivity. And he informed me that the issue is fixed, but it requires a system reboot. All right, so I'll just thank Peter for his support, and Peter can very well go and disconnect the session. So we can go back to our live session. So this is a session which is connected by John. And now, as we have seen here, we have successfully installed the Adobe application, as well as we also fixed the Wi-Fi connectivity issue, which was reported by Bob. But as my colleague Peter informed, he needs a system reboot so that the issue is fixed permanently. So now I'd like to reboot the machine. But since it's a live production, I need to inform Bob, whether that he is okay to go ahead with the system reboot. Now to inform that, I can very well use the chat functionality once again. But prior to that, since if you remember, we black out the screen. So first and foremost, we're going to revoke the blackened monitor so the Bob can see once again what's going on his machine. And we're going to use the chat functionality to inform him that we have installed the Adobe application as per his request, and we're going to reboot the machine, whether he is okay with that. So I already have a text ready, so I'm just going to copy paste, where I'm just mentioning him that Adobe app is installed as well as Wi-Fi connectivity is fixed. We just need to reboot the machine and whether he's okay with that. So this is a message I've just put on. And I'll just wait for Bob to confirm me that. All right, so you can see Bob has confirmed me. So we'll just say thanks and we'll close the chat session. All right, so since I got a confirmation to go ahead with the reboot, should I go with my traditional reboot option from Start menu, or can I reboot right from the console itself? Yes, being in the session itself, you can go for reboot. For that, if you have go to quick launch, you're going to notice there is a power options, where you're going to find multiple options like reboot and shutdown. So I can go for reboot. And once it goes for reboot, it's going to reconnect automatically within few seconds. All right, so let's assume that we have successfully rebooted the machine and reconnected, and that's how I can close the existing session. All right, so going back to my presentation. So let's just do a quick recap what I've done in this session. So I've shown you, how to make use of user permission, that is asking for the permission if required before taking control, and how to use the HTML5 viewer, how to make use of the blackout the monitor and locking the keyboard and mouse if required, use of file transfer, as well as multi-technician viewer, where collaboratively John and Peter work together, to help resolve the ticket from the end user. So these are the different features which you can make use of live once you're in remote control session. So that's the end of the first topic. So if you have any questions so far, feel free to put in the chat section. Now I'd like to move on to the topic number 2, that is troubleshooting for system slowness. All right, so let's assume that the same end user, Bob, has opened another ticket with a IT help desk where he's reported a system slowness issue. So now, as a technician, let's assume that the same John has got the ticket and he wants to troubleshoot that issue. So now I'll show you what are the different tools offered by Desktop Central, which you can leverage to investigate and find out why the system is really slow. So we have some features like Task Manager and Services, using System Manager, using of live chat once again, and performing the system hard drive scheduled tasks like check disk cleanup and defrag, and as well as using the remote command prompt and the event log analysis. So these are certain features or tools offered by Desktop Central. So let me take you to the product once again live and show you how they can be utilized. So I go to tools, and first and foremost thing, like some system slowness, the first thing that comes in our mind might be the different set of processes or services running. We need to check on that. So for that, we have a tool called System Manager. I can come here and I can search for the end user Bob once again. Or you can just even search for the machines live. So we'll take the same machine. And I can see if you click on the Manage under Action, you can click on any other. You want to see the processes running or services or remote command prompts. So what it does a quick immediate scan, and it will list out what are the current process running, what are the current services running on that remote machine. So I can very well go through the list of processes. I can even sort it out based on the CPU. Let's say if I find any unwanted process running, I can very well go under Actions and I can kill the process if required. Same way I can go to the services and I can also find out what are the different set of services running. I can even sort it out based on the status of what are the services running right now. If I think any unwanted service is running, I can even stop the service or restart if required. I can even connect to the remote command prompt. So even that is possible. So if you have any kind of commands which you want to execute for troubleshooting, you can do that. As well as you can even refer the event logs, which can be very handy again. So you can refer what happened, what is different events right now, what are the errors occurred in just last few minutes. That can be based on application level or even hardware events or security level or system level. You can even export the reports if you want. You can even filter the logs based on certain conditions. So if you want whatever event happened or specific event ID you have, or if you just want to show based on error level alone, so only those logs will be shown to you. That's how you can sort it out. Then we also have a remote shared, so you can see what are the shares mapped to that machine right now, as well as what are the sessions running, live sessions and files which are opened. Then different printers which are connected to that machine, and even groups. So what are the different groups, local groups the end user machine has, who are the members of the local administrator groups. Even that can be seen from this screen. And then the list of the softwares which are installed. So even that can be handy. You can just go to the list. If you see any kind of unwanted app which end user is running, you can very well remove from here. And last is the users list. So what are the users account which are mapped or created on that end user machine. So you can get complete list of details as well as access of that remote machine under single pane of glass. And if you want, you can even export the data into PDF or CSV or XLS format. So let's assume that I've been through all the processes and services, and somehow I don't find any specific reason which might, slow down the system performance. So I can go ahead and close the system manager. So next thing I might doubt here is maybe the hard drive itself has some problem, or hard drive performance might be the issue there. So I need to somehow try to see if I have any tools which will improve the hard drive performance. So for that I can go to System Tools, where we have built-in Windows management tools. I can create a task. I'm just going to modify one of them, where I can schedule the jobs, like I can perform check disk cleanup, as well as defragmentations. So I'm going to select all three, and I'm going to show you what are the options we have. So you can decide which are the volumes you want to perform the check disk, and whether you just want to perform fix errors on the disk, or you just go for a quick check, or the verbose mode to get the complete report. Then the cleanup file. So what are the files I want to clean up? So there are a lot of options here. You can decide you just want to clean up the temp files alone, or the memory dump files, or browser cache files, or Windows log files, as well as the backup files, offline files, recycle bin. So you have all the options. Based on the requirement, you can decide what are the files I want to clean up. And last is the defrag. So I can decide which volumes, which drives I want to perform the defrag on. Only in the C drive or D drive. And there are different options available, so like operation type. So you just want to perform only the analysis of the disk for a specific volume without defragging, that is analysis disk. Or you want to go for analyze and defrag. So first go to analysis report, and then going to defrag. Once the defrag is completed, then it's going to share the complete report after the defragmentation on the task information. Same, we can also set the priority. So it depends again when you're planning to perform this job. So if you're doing, if you go for a normal priority, it's going to utilize more system resources, which might impact the user activity. So if you're only planning to go for a non-working hours or weekends, then you can go for normal priority. If you're doing it during working hours, then you can go for low priority, which will actually consume less system resources and will not impact the user activity. Same, we can also decide different mode, whether you want to use the verbose mode to get the statistics of each volume, or just run parallel in the background. So based on that, you can decide, and then the target, so which machines you want to perform this task. So you can either specifically say to particular remote office alone, let's say only to specific New York and London office, or you can even go for local office, and you can specifically do sub-filter and go for specific OUs or AD groups or list of computers. You can even create different set of custom groups within the product, and you can point that as a target, even the IP range or by operating system. So you have all the flexibility. Based on the requirement, you can point to the target which you want to set this job. And next is the scheduler. So first and foremost, since this is the admin task, you need to give the run as credentials. So you have to set that up. And then you have some options like run only when the user is logged in, or run this job when the user is logged down or not. Those options are there. You can even set the trigger, like when you want to execute. You just want to go for only once, one particular day and time, or you want to set it for weekly basis. So every week on specific day, you want to execute this task, or monthly basis, or even days. So for now, we go for once. And there's other options like delay the task for 60 minutes. Those conditions can also be set. Or even you can set other conditions like start this job if the computer is idle for 60 minutes, or maybe 120 minutes to 2 hours. So those options are available. Based on requirement, you can decide. So I'll just make it, let's say, tomorrow. That's how I successfully created this task, and your option like reboot the client computer after job is executed. So if you want, you can also enable that. So what it really does, it will create a task and add it to the local Windows scheduler list of the Windows. This tool is not something inbuilt in Desktop Central. We're going to still utilize the same Windows task which has been there in the OS level itself. So only the job will be created and will be added under local Windows scheduler task. All right, so I've created this job to run tonight so that it might, improve the performance. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to inform the end user Bob that we have scheduled this, we have made the required changes and we have scheduled for tonight. So tomorrow he can come and he can update me the status. So for that, again, I can use the inbuilt chat functionality. Okay, I can see the Bob user here, and I can select which machine specifically. And I'm going to inform him via chat that we made the required changes. All he has to do is tomorrow to go through the status, work on the machine, see the performance. Based on that, he can update me the status. So again, that's how I'm going to use the inbuilt chat. All right, so that was the tools which are System Manager and System Tools to work on the troubleshooting of system slowness. So I'm going back to my presentation. So this brings to topic number 2, where I've already explained you different tools which can be utilized for this specific scenario. So now let's move on to the topic number 3. So topic number 3, where how to enforce and implement the IT policies on the desktops. So here, so this is a scenario where, let's say, my IT manager has decided, to implement the power policy where he wants to ensure all the machines are turned off during non-business hours and turned on early morning once before the employees comes back to the office. So how to do that? The Desktop Central tools can help me out. Yeah, we do have some inbuilt tools where you can perform a remote shutdown or restart. You can even schedule the shutting down of the machine or restarting the machine. And we also have a wake on LAN tool inbuilt, which will help you in turning on the machines. And that can be even deployed based on different groups or departments. So let me go ahead and show you how to employ the IT policies task using Desktop Central tools. So I'm going to tools once again. So first and foremost, I'm going to go for remote shutdown tool. You have option to select the machine. So if it's a requirement of an immediate shutdown, you can very well add the machine from the list and you can do an immediate shutdown or restart. But for this particular task, I have a job to perform where I want to schedule the shutdown every night. So I already have one job created. I'm just going to modify that. Give a task name like schedule shutdown for, let's say, for New York site, and the operation which you want to perform. So you want to shut down the machine or restart the machine. And there's certain options which you can make use of, like do not disturb if the user is logged in. So if someone is working, you can very well, it's going to skip it. Same way you can allow the user to skip and postpone the operation. So end user will have a control if you want to skip that job. Or just go for force shutdown and give some time so that end user can save the data. So let's say 5 minutes. And you can even set the message which you want to convey to them so they get a pop-up on the screen. Since it's a late shutdown, a late night shutdown, you can go for force. And you can also have a provision which specific group of machines you want to set this job. So you want to go for the entire domain, to all the machines, or specific custom groups. So based on the requirement, I can decide the target machines and then the scheduler. So this can be on daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis. So since this is my requirement specifically for on daily basis, now I can specifically say which time or which day I want to start the job with. So let's say you can start with Saturday, and you can say, let's say 9 p.m. every day. So automatically save the job. That's it. So at 9 p.m. all the machines will go off for scheduled shutdown. Next tool is wake on LAN. So we have always scheduled the job to shut down the machine at specific time on daily basis. Now comes the wake on LAN to turn on the machines next day morning, before the employee comes in. So same goes here. You can add the machines. They can do a immediate wake up if required. If the machine is down right now, you want to work on it, you can do a quick wake up command, or you can even schedule the wake up job. Go for same schedule wake up. I already have one job. I'm just going to modify that to give a task name. You can just keep it the same name for better understanding. And we're going to use port UDP port 7 for the vehicle LAN tool. And in the defined target, same thing, you have to add the same group of machines which you have specified for the remote shutdown. Let's say we added the machines and then the same scheduler on the timing. So this has to be done on daily basis once again. So let's say this is going to be on 4th morning 6 a.m. So from 4th every morning, machines will wake up automatically. So that's how I have successfully created the remote shutdown and wake on LAN. And you can next income, you can see the status, what exactly happened. So how many success, how many fail. If you click on the job, once it is processed, you're going to have all the information. How many machines successfully shut down, how many failed. Same goes for wake on LAN. You can go to wake on LAN, system details, go to the particular task, and that will show the complete information, what exactly happened. So this is how you can set up the remote shutdown and wake on LAN. Apart from that, we also have a inbuilt reports, that is power management reports. You go to reports tab, left hand side, you have a power management reports. So since this changes has been implemented, but you want to know, right, what are the changes, what is really working out or not. So to know that, you can very well refer this report, the system uptime report, which will show you what is the total uptime and what is the downtime of the machines. Of course, once you implement these policies, right, your downtime should go up, because before, most of the time, 24 hours, the machines were up and running, unwantedly. So now you have set the policies which should bring down the uptime time and of course going to bring up the downtime. You can very well even sort it out. So you can, if you want the specific reports based on specific custom groups, the target group which you created the job, you can even sort it out based on the tile, like let's say the data for last week or last month, and I can export into PDF or CSV or XLS format. So that's how you can refer the power management report. All right, let's go back to the presentation. So that's how you can implement or enforce the power management IT policies. All right, next topic number 4 is the scenario, or I would say, event like your Exchange server is down, and you want to notify the users about it. So as you know, this is somehow a major level 1, level 5 issue. So again, since Exchange server is down, you cannot even send a mail to them about it, right? That the Exchange server is down and we are working on it. So how to announce this to the end users? So for that, we have a inbuilt tool called announcement. Same, you can go to the tools and you have announcement feature where you can quickly create a task, and you can, let's say I'll just have already created one, I'm going to modify. I can set the announcement title as well as the message or the body content, what you want to convey to them. So this is just to, scenarios where it's going to help you, for end users not to contact the IT department and raise the, unnecessary tickets or reducing the call volumes from the end users. So you can set your message which you want to convey to them and the frequency, so how frequently you want to show the pop-up. So you just want only once or multiple times. You can even set what is the start time, what is the end time. So you can set it just start right away, and you can say, let's say for next 6 hours or next 1 day. And in defined target, you can specify to whom you want to show this pop-up. So it can be specific users or entire domain or specific remote office or a custom group. And save the job. So as soon as you save, the end users will get a pop-up on the screen. And let me show you. So this is how the pop-up will look like. So this is the message box. So this can be very handy, So this just Exchange server down is just one of the examples which I picked up. There might be a lot of other scenarios where, maybe your printer is not working on a specific flow, or department. So you can very well just drop an announcement message to them, that your team is aware of it and we are working on it. Or any schedule fire drill is coming up, next week. So you can even announce that. So there are a lot of different scenarios and situations you can really make use of this announcement feature. All right, that brings to the end of the 4 different topics to explain the different features offered by the product. Now I'll move on to the scenarios and solutions. All right, scenario number 1, how do I measure the time spent by technicians who are handling tickets related to desktops? Okay, this scenario specifically is for the customers who are running Desktop Central as well as our help desk ticketing tool, Service Desk Plus. So since we offer integration between Desktop Central and Service Desk, yes, you can measure the time. So for that, first and foremost thing, when you take a remote control, once the integration is established, when you take remote control, when you click on connect, if you notice, you will get, when the reason box is popped up, you notice there's something called SDP request ID. So if you're already working on a particular ticket, and you need a remote session to help resolve the ticket, you can just mention the request ID out here so that the activity performed, the reason whatever mentioned here, and the time spent in that session will be logged along with the ticket notes. I'm going to show you how. So this is assuming that you've already performed the integration. So under admin service desk plus settings, assume the integration is already done. Okay, you have option like log, add work log notes and resolution for remote connection. This box should be checked. Okay, and then I'm going to take you to the setup Service Desk Plus. So let's assume this is Service Desk Plus setup running. I'm just logging as administrator. It can be even a technician. And I can go to the request. And I can pick up any request which is worked on by the technician. Let's say this particular ticket itself. So if you enter the request ID, and if you click on connect, if you go to the task, you come here, you'll have something called work log details. So here you're going to have the complete information, how much time the technician has spent on this ticket, and what was the reason. So if you enable the reason, it will also show up here. And you can also pull up the report separately in Service Desk on total time spent on the ticket based on technician basis. So there are a lot of other features too from the ticket, like you can also, initiate remote control within Service Desk Plus ticket if you want. You can also see the announcement which has been created. So there are certain features which are available once you integrate both the application. So for that, we have a separate topic or a training scheduled for after 2 weeks, where we're going to talk in details on what are the advantages and features offered once you integrate Desktop Central with Service Desk Plus. So I request you guys to register for that training session to know more about it. So that's how you can measure the time spent by technicians on the tickets, which is handled within Service Desk. Next scenario is we'd like to monitor the activity sectors. They do need this feature, so they can track out what the students are doing. So for that, you can go to Tools, Remote Control, and Settings. And here you're going to find is something called View Only Mode. So just check this box and click on Save, and then do a Connect. It will only, so in that case, the end user will not be knowing, that someone is watching the screen. So you can see silently what the students are doing on the machine. Next scenario is we are a healthcare company and that needs to be compliant with certain regulations such as HIPAA. All right. So as for the HIPAA compliance, so there are certain guidelines and recommendations. So as our desktop single application, we do have option, or I would say feature where do follow the HIPAA compliant user privacy, which is on user confirmation. So before connecting to any end user machine, you have option where you can always enable or permanent the user confirmation, which is again one of the important rules becoming from HIPAA compliant on the user privacy. So what you can perform, you can, if you wish, you can even set a user confirmation as a permanent option. So always before connecting the machine, end user will be prompted and he needs to grant access. Only then the technician can take control of his machine. So we do support this user confirmation option here. And there's another thing, if you want, you can exclude certain machines. Suppose you do not want like your CIO or your managers group or IT departments to have this user confirmation, you can just exclude those machines from the list. So they'll not be prompted for user confirmation. And second point, once you enable as user confirmation as a permanent, you cannot revert on your own. You have to contact our support team for reverting the changes. All right, next scenario is installing and configuring IIS on a remote machine is a complex job. I want to document the process and use it as a training material for our newcomers. Is this possible? All right, yes, it is possible. So for this, we have a feature called screen recording. So same on the tools, we have a tab called screen recording, where you can enable the recording functionality and you can decide, so that basically it will record every activity, whatever the technician has performed during his session. And you can even use this training video or the recorded video for any training purpose, or later on for any kind of knowledge base or knowledge transfer. So some options are there. You can decide which specific codec you want to use, and even you can set the color quality. It should be low or high, and some settings like you can delete the recorded files if it exceeds more than, let's say, 5 to 6 GB. And you can even secure the downloading of the recorded videos, as well as you can even enable the user notification. So they will be aware of it, that this session is being recorded. So that's how you can use the screen recording function. Next is, I find my remote sessions are slow when I'm accessing a computer in a different country or roaming users. How do I fix this? All right, so as mentioned, the end user machine is in different country, and it is a roaming user who might be working, outside your country. So there might be some latency on the performance or bandwidth, but however, we do have a feature called performance settings, which you can configure. So let's say I will assume one of the remote office, I'll edit that, and you have an option to change the compression settings. So by default, it will be in best, you can try changing it to fast, and you can bring down the color quality. So by default it will be in high, you can bring it to low. So move it to compression as fast and color quality as low, and then see the results. It should improve the performance. Next scenario is one of the employees suspect an unauthorized remote access to his or her machine and has raised this to IT manager. Is there a way to audit the remote connections to his or her machine? Yes, it is possible. This is one of the very important scenario. So there might be this kind of events. So as the IT manager, right, you need to ensure that whatever tools your IT technicians are using, they provide a proper reporting and auditing. So basically there should be some kind of ownership and accountability. So for that, you have option on the tools. You have something called history tab, where every remote connection made by technicians will be logged. So you can see which technician took control of which machine, what was the start time, what was the end time, how long he was in the session, and if the recording is enabled, you can download the recorded video from here. And you can even see the viewer IP. So from which IP the technician has initiated the remote session. So complete information can be gathered from the history tab. And again, you can even export into PDF or CSV or XLS format. So that's how the auditing can be done. All right, that brings to the end of the different scenarios and solutions. So now let's move on to the questions now. All right, so I'll just wait for my team to quickly update the questions. Give me a few seconds. All right, the questions are updated. So let's go to question number 1. I'm running Desktop Central iOS app on my iPad. Can I initiate remote control via app? Yes, you can. So if you're running our latest build of Desktop Central, you have a latest version of iOS app running on iPad, you can very well do that. So for that, you can go to the login to your Desktop Central application from the iOS app. And I have some screenshots, to just show you how it looks like. So once you log in, you go to remote control option on the Desktop Central on the dashboard. And if you go to computers, just search for the machine which you want to take a remote and click on the computer icon. As soon as you click on that, a pop-up will be coming. That is, once again, it'll ask you for the reason why you want to take a remote. So it's always recommended to mention some meaningful data there and just click on connect. So once you click on connect, this is how the screen will look like. So it will just, first of all, it'll just give you the navigation, instructions how to work on the session. So how to use the tab options, or how to use the click and drag, zoom out and zoom in. So those are just the instructions. And once you can close that, and then last you can have a control of the remote machine. And that's how the screen will look like. And left hand side, you'll have all the options, same as what you see from the desktop. So you can do a dual monitor switch, you can do a file transfer, lock the keyboard and mouse, all the options are still there. So that's how you can take a remote control from your iOS app. All right, next question is, my remote control screen shows port 8443 conflict. How do I resolve? All right, so first and foremost thing, you have to check whether the port, so 8443 is a default port will be used by the product for remote control functionality, and that is on the Desktop Central server end. So you need to ensure that this port is not being used by some other process or application. You can run the command netstat-ano on the server machine to find out. Apart from that, you can also go to the tools, and if you want, you can even change that. You can go to settings tab. If you scroll down on the port settings, you'll find gateway port 8443 is the default one. If you want, you can even change that to some other port. So that we'll be using the next port. Next question is, remote control works for all the Windows machines but not Mac. However, I could see the Desktop Central agent is installed on those computers, and patch and asset scanner works fine. Why not remote control? All right, so as this question is like, It is working fine for Windows and is failing only for Mac machines. However, the scanning is working fine. The reason might be the latest version of JRE may not be installed on those Mac machines. So please ensure that you're running the latest JRE. Try to even uninstall and reinstall the Java or JRE on those Mac machines, and it should work after that. The next question is, does the screen recording needs to be turned on before you establish the remote control session, or it can be turned on during the session? The answer is no, it cannot be turned on during the session. It has to be prior to the session established. Next is how to allow multiple techs to work on the same remote connection. Does that require additional license from ManageEngine? Well, technically no, you do not need additional license. So if you have a multi-technician license already purchased, so both the technicians can log in with their respective user account, and they can connect to the existing session. You don't need additional license for it. Question number 6 is, will the remote control automatically reconnect after the reboot during the session? Yes, it will reconnect automatically. Next question is it possible to take remote control of a roaming user if the user is at home without VPN tunnel? All right, so as you mentioned, the user is working from home and it is not connected by VPN. That means he's working over the internet. So yes, it is possible. So for that, you need to do some, prerequisites from your end. So on the product perspective, yes, it can be managed over the internet. So you need to create a remote office. You have to go to admin, scope of management, remote office, and you have an add remote office option. And you have to set up a public IP or FQDN, and you have to do a NATing on a firewall. You have to open certain list of ports, and you have to use the communication type as direct communication. So the WAN agents can communicate to the desktop channel server over the public IP. So once you set up this or changes on your network firewall, do the NATing, and once you set up the remote office, once you install the WAN agents on those laptops, yes, you can take remote control of those machines too. We also have an article on that which talks about more details. You can even just drop a mail to a support team to get that article. Next question is, if you have a keyboard and mouse disabled, does it automatically disable it for the new text sharing the session? If you leave the remote session and forget to re-enable the mouse and keyboard, will it automatically get enabled for the user? Yes, the answer is yes. As soon as, even the technician has left it, as soon as he ends the session, the changes will be reverted as before. So the mouse and keyboard will be enabled automatically for the end user to work on. So you don't need to worry on that. All right, the next question is, some of the users are denied permission to use phones in our business. Before I establish the remote connection, is there a way to interact with the end user other than chat? All right, yes, it is possible. So in our latest build, which is just going to be released in a couple of days, we have introduced audio and video chat, that is voice and video chat functionality. So as soon as we will be announcing that build maybe by next week or in next month, June month newsletter. So once you upgrade this build, you will be able to use the audio and video chat. All right, so that brings to the end of the questions we had for today. So I trust we have taken all the questions as much as possible. If few of the questions are left out, we'll be trying to answer you on the offline mode. All right, guys, so that brings to the end of the training session for today from my end. So as soon as you end the session, you're going to get a survey form. So I do request to please rate us on the scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. So how you like this session today? any comments or feedbacks, whatever you like, whatever goods, the bads, and anything you like to see on our upcoming trainings, please do mention on that. And if you like, you also spread a word about our free training program. I love Desktop Central free training. You can spread it in the social media. You can even tweet about us or put into LinkedIn or put into Facebook post. We love to see your comments there too. Next, I'd like to just quickly share the next training session coming up next week on the configurations, USP management, agent, how to use agent, server management, all details, a lot of topics, things to be discussed there. And all it will be covered on June 7 and at 2 different time zones, 6:30 a.m. GMT and 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I do request everyone to please register for that and hope to see you guys on there. All right, guys, thanks for joining the training session. Hope it was informative and knowledgeable, and thanks for your time. Take care there.